Hey everybody, it's Tony with Big T Bariatric, and I'm back at you with another reaction video. Today it is Tuesday, February 7th. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. I can't believe we're already an entire week into February, but here we are. If you could do me a huge favor, please hit the subscribe button down below. It's down there somewhere. If you just hit that for me, we're so close to that 3,000 subscriber mark. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this reaction. I'd love to talk with you, so leave the comments, and it really helps the algorithm as well. But before I get into this, I just want to say I'm going to have to do more pausing than normal. I'm sorry. TLC doesn't like me very much, and so the last video that I did, even though it passed the initial copyright scanning that it does, TLC has gone back and manually reviewed my video, okay? And by doing that, they keep finding areas that they want to block more and more often. And so it's like I'm on like the 5th clip that I've gone back and I've trimmed it out and trying to get it to work, and they keep blocking this little segment and that little segment. So I think they're just mad at me, and so they're trying to do what they can to prevent me from making these videos, but I'm not going to stop making them, so they can go screw themselves, I guess. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start this. It's 600-pound man's wife gets physically ill watching him eat enormous amounts of food. So let's get into it right now.
The mornings are the worst part of my day. And I hate waking up because of how hard and painful it is being in this body now.
I mean, we talk about this a lot when we react to the show. Shauna Steele does as well. We talk about how painful it is to wake up first thing in the morning. I mean, that's the first thing you're greeted with. Not only do you have this intense hunger because you went so long without eating, but you're also in a ton of pain. And so it's very, very difficult to get up out of bed.
I can't really lay down anymore, you know? I can't breathe if I do. Because
Oh, wow. That's another thing, too. He's not even laying down in a bed, because it can be dangerous to lay down in bed and sleep if you have sleep apnea. And he probably doesn't even have a CPAP. And so for him, the healthiest way to even sleep is to sit up in a couch, because laying down, what happens is all the fat around your neck, it really closes your airways. And so if you have a CPAP, it forces air down your throat, and so it doesn't close it off. So having a CPAP really saved my life and really helped me get a better sleep. But for someone like him who doesn't have a CPAP every night is scary. You might not even wake up the next morning. Like, you can die from sleep apnea if you don't get it treated.
my weight pushes the air out of my body. So I started sleeping in my chair, but I hate that because it means that I can't sleep by my wife, Amber, anymore.
Oh yeah, that's gotta be rough too, especially if you're married. You can't sleep next to your wife. But I couldn't imagine sleeping in a chair. I could never get that comfortable in a chair. And so I'm thankful that I have an adjustable bed, which I'm on now. So it kind of converts to a couch, but you know, I could put it down when I sleep, and then I lift it back up when I'm up during the day.
She's usually gone by the time I get up. She's a school teacher, and so am I. I teach theater, but I've been on medical leave for a while now because of how hard it is for me to get around at this.
Yeah, that's very, very tough, not being able to work. I mean, if you have a job and you can go to that job and do it well, that's one thing. But once you get that size, like, it's impossible. It's impossible to work unless you can find some online job. And so I've been kind of okay because I can write and I have a few clients, but right now it's really, really tough financially on me, because I just have been unable to find enough work to keep me going, and the pay is not stable. So right now I'm really struggling financially. So that's something I've always struggled with, being a bigger person, is not finding enough work at times, struggling financially. So that's one of the things I look forward to after losing the weight, is maybe I can find a permanent, stable job. Maybe YouTube at some point will help me make enough money that I can, you know, not have to worry about it anymore, because I love making content. But that probably might not be my full-time job. I'd still would like to find a stable job where I get paid every week.
Size I'm at. I'm at a point now where it's painful to do anything. I think other people take for granted the ability to just move.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you get that big, you just see everybody else taking advantage of their mobility. But hey, they didn't get to be 600 pounds like I was. So, it's not their fault that they can move it and I can't. So it becomes, are you willing to do the work so that you can become mobile? And now that I have been losing all this weight, mobility has been great. Being able to do things I couldn't do in years, cooking for myself, cleaning for myself, taking out the trash, just being able to walk around a little bit and not be so winded and just taking huge gulps of air. So, that's a great thing.
You know, and not be in pain all the time. Like, I'm constantly in pain even sitting.
Yeah, that's something that I dealt with too. Just sitting in bed, just like I am now. My knees would be killing me, and I'm like, I'm not even standing. I'm not even walking, but my knees are killing me. How is that? How is that happening?
Go use your restroom. But the dogs, if I don't let them out, then they'll have accidents around the house. I won't be able to clean it up.
Yeah, just walking that little bit that he did throughout his house, he's winded. He's in pain. He's struggling just to walk that little bit, but he's got to do it for his dogs, or else they're going to go to the bathroom inside the house.
So I push myself to let them do what they need. Grandma house, let's go. But after that, I have to get to where I can rest as soon as possible.
Yeah, anytime you stand up, I've told you guys this before, but it's like the pressure on your back, in the middle of your back and your lower back. It's like bone on bone, squishing nerves and everything else. It's so painful. Your ankles hurt, your feet hurt, and you almost feel like you're going to collapse if you don't sit down right away.
And I already want to go back to bed. But in the morning, I have to get clean. Because the growth that's in between my legs.
I'm going to skip through the shower scene. I don't like them. I'm sorry if you guys do. But let's jump ahead to, I guess he's making breakfast.
Beef and my comfort, and it's what I constantly want. Food is the only thing in the world that doesn't talk back unless it gives you acid reflux.
Food's the only thing that doesn't talk back unless it gives you acid reflux. But needing 2 plates of food like that, and it's all grease, and it's all fat, and it's all carbs and biscuits and stuff like that, that's not a good way to start your day, really. Um, right now, I can barely eat a single sausage patty, and I'm absolutely full. And the grease and everything else just makes me feel blah. So, I mean, you could really get into it where you're constantly eating like that, it doesn't even phase you. But once you stop eating like that, I tell people this all the time. It's like once you stop eating the sugar, once you stop eating the grease and the fat and the huge amount of food, like you adjust to a new way of eating. It takes some time, but you can really adjust your body to the point where it doesn't bug you anymore. And so even having a little bit of sugar, it's like, wow, ugh, it does something to you now. It's too sweet. It almost makes you sick. It's gross. Or when you start eating something that's very fatty, you're like, ugh, this is just too much grease. I cannot handle it. So if you're used to eating that way, you can change your eating habits to get to a point where it doesn't bother you anymore. And just going back to eating that way really will hurt you.
It's just gonna make you feel better. And when I'm eating, it's euphoric. It's like it's feeling a relief from whatever negative emotion I have going on at that time.
Yeah, I mean, food for a lot of these people is their comfort, and I've absolutely been there. I used to be an emotional eater where everything that I would do would be wrapped around food, whether I was happy, food, sad, food, depressed, food. If I wanted to celebrate, food. If I wanted to mourn, food. And so my birthday is coming up at the end of this month, and so I'm already thinking of things that I can do to celebrate my birthday with my family that don't involve food, because every year so far it's revolved around, oh, okay, well, what do you want to eat for your birthday dinner, Tony? And so that's sort of what the family has been used to. Like that was my gift, was a birthday dinner. And that would excite me more than anything else. But I'm looking for something different this year. Something that I can celebrate my birthday that doesn't revolve around food. If you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments.
And so even though a meal like this will make me really full, I'll keep eating and eating because that craving never goes away. And it's always been there for me.
Yeah, that's something else too. When you think about it, I've talked about how I went to a Mexican restaurant with my friend Steve, and even though I'd be completely full, I'd eat my full meal, stuffed to the gills, but there's still some chips and dip left, the chips and salsa there on the table. It's like the food is there, and so your food addiction is so bad that even though you're full, you just have to keep eating it. So, if you have two huge plates of food like that, it's going to fill you up. Normally, it's going to fill you up. But because it's there on the plate, you can't throw it away. Like your mind will not let you do that because it's still there. And so you just keep eating it to the point of oversaturation of food, and then you just feel really, really bad, really guilty, really bloated. It's like, ugh, I feel like crap. But it's still there on my plate, you know. All right, I'm gonna skip ahead again.
And I can finish ice cream in like nobody's business. But things did get a little better toward the end of high school. That's when I fell in love with theater.
Having a passion like theater or something like that, it can really help save your life if you're stuck in this situation. Like he's been talking about, he lost his, or he didn't lose his job, but he works at the school with his wife teaching theater, but he's been on medical leave because he's been so big. So once you are unable to do the thing that you love doing, that you're passionate about, you know that if you lost weight, you can get back to doing what you love. But you have to decide that that passion that you have is greater than your love for food. And in his case right now, that's not the case. He loves theater, but it's in the back of his mind because what makes him happier than that is food.
It was theater that made me feel like I could be who I wanted to be. I still to this day think that my theater teacher in the high school level was probably one of the ones that helped get me through. It was around the same time when I found out my mom was diagnosed with cancer.
I mean, that's really tough when you go through traumatic stuff like that in your life. You can have your passion and things that you love, but when something traumatic hits you, it's like, okay, you're going to turn to that drug to make you feel better. And you're going to get to the point in his life where he is just so big he can't even do his passion anymore because he lost people in his life. And so he turned to food. And food became his drug. Food became his comfort, his joy. Food became everything for him. And so, in order for him to turn it all around, he's got to rediscover his love for theater, or if it's you, some kind of passion in your life. What means more to you than food? You're going to have to give that food up. You're going to have to break up that toxic relationship with food in order to get back to the things that you love doing.
And ironically, at that time, I was playing a cancer patient while my mom was going through the cancer treatment. So it allowed me to really deal with it in a safe place.
Yeah, I mean, there are other ways to deal with emotional triggers in your life. And sometimes it is that passion. I used to write horror novels before I was a Christian, and even after after I became a Christian, but it was something that I just couldn't really deal with anymore, writing horror novels. But when I was younger, and for me, it was a way for me to deal with a lot of my emotional pain because I was mentally, physically, and sexually abused. And so I thought, creating these stories in which people were going through all these horrific things and coming out as a survivor, it was very therapeutic for me. Even though other people didn't understand, people thought that I was crazy and weird, especially when I was in high school writing these stories. Teachers were worried about me, and they turned me into the principal because they read one of my stories and they thought I was some kind of psycho. It's like, no, I just wrote stories because I went through a lot of trauma, and that really helped me work out my trauma, helped creating these characters who survived it and overcame evil. So it was very therapeutic for me. So again, like him, he found theater to be therapeutic because he was able to play a cancer patient and he got to relive some of that emotion, and it helped him work it out. And so the same thing's going to happen for you. If you're trying to overcome a food addiction, try to rediscover what your passions are. Try to rediscover the things that might help you overcome the trauma that led you down the path of any kind of addiction.
I chose a college based on theater, but I was still eating a lot and gaining. And by the time I graduated, I was around 450 pounds. But immediately after I graduated, I got a job at a high school in Longview.
I mean, that's great. He was able to get a job, but again, his food addiction overcame any of that.
And that's where I met my wife, Amber.
From the first time I saw Nathan, I could see what made him special. He's a great person. He is an amazing theater director. He is an amazing teacher.
And having someone like that in your life, you know, who you would eventually marry, that could break or make you. Someone who can encourage you and give you that love, but apparently it's not going to work out here, because the title of this is Man's Wife Gets Physically Ill Watching Him Eat Enormous Amounts of Food. But she doesn't look skinny either. So either she's been a part of this and has enabled him, and now she's like, oh man, it disgusts me how much you eat. You're gross. You're a sick person. I don't know. We're going to see.
And having similar backgrounds with food was something I saw as a positive back then. And that was one of the things that I was attracted to, is the idea that he would be a partner for me to keep focusing on my journey with.
Yeah, she is almost as big as he is, maybe even bigger. But, you know, women hold fat differently than men, so. But to marry somebody who has the same addiction as you, we've talked about it many times, it's not going to help lead you to recovery. It's just not going to happen. Because humans can be weak. Humans have weaknesses. And so if you marry somebody who has the same addiction as you and you hope that they're going to lead you to a better path, that's not going to happen. They're going to lead you back down the wrong path because they have the same addiction. So that's why I don't recommend meeting somebody in rehab like Tammy did and getting married and thinking, oh, well, this is going to be great for the both of us. It's not. It's not going to be great.
You want a cheese stick?
No, thank you. But shortly after we got married, Nathan went to a doctor to try and get weight loss surgery.
So I actually got approval for surgery because I had lost enough weight. And
well, it sounds like he's trying. He realizes he has a problem, and she has a problem too. But it sounds like she's going to blame him for him being overweight, which it's true. But she met him when he was large, and she was always large. And so they've really engaged in this lifestyle behavior together.
And I didn't have the copay, and so they canceled my surgery. And I guess at that point I was like, forget it, I'm done. I'm just eat however I want to.
You want a bite? Last bite of sweets?
Sure.
Exactly. She is enabling him right here. She's going to say that, oh, you make me sick by how much you eat, but she is giving him the last bites of sweets. Like, that is classic enabling.
That's when all of his motivation went by the wayside really quickly.
I guess I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I know that this.
I mean, that can be tragic too, when you're trying your hardest. You're part of a program. Every doctor that you see is likely going to make you try to lose some weight before you get weight loss surgery. So he was trying. He was motivated, and then because he didn't have the copay, it was canceled on him. And so he lost all motivation to continue on that process. And that's very, very sad.
Disappointed Amber a lot because she didn't hide her disappointment in me at all when I started gaining again.
When we'd go to eat, I physically was getting ill from watching him eat.
She's an absolute hypocrite. She acts like she doesn't have a problem herself, that it's all on him, that he is the problem. He is the only one who's eating like garbage. In order for her to be that big, she has to be eating alongside him. And she's enabling him by giving him food, saying, hey, you want the last bit of my sweets? It's like, you're perpetuating the problem. You're making the problem worse by giving him food, by enabling him, and eating that same way that he's eating and becoming big yourself. Like, this is a classic definition of a hypocrite.
He would eat his food. He would eat an appetizer. We would have a dessert. He would eat my leftovers, and it would make me just absolutely just disgusted.
I mean, when you have a love affair with food, I bet these two aren't even having sex. And we've talked about this before, where for them, food is sex. They're cheating on each other with food. I mean, that's just absolutely true. Like, how can they be physically intimate when they could barely even stand for 5 minutes? Like, I bet there's no intimacy between them whatsoever. And the fact that she's glaring at him like that, like she's just disgusted watching him eat, when when she just ate a large amount of food herself. She's got a large stomach. She is a big person, probably as big as he is, and yet she's acting all morally superior, and probably because she is able to work. And so she's like, "Hey, I'm still mobile enough that I could work, but you are making it worse on yourself. You can't even go into work." So she's judging him big time.
When Nathan decided he didn't want to try and lose weight anymore, I told him I was disgusted with what he was doing, and I basically told him he was an embarrassment.
Man, she drives me crazy. I could not imagine being married to somebody like that, who is an absolute hypocrite. You are disgusting yourself, ma'am. You have a problem that you need to focus on. Why are you focused on him? Why are you putting it all on his shoulders? Maybe you could be an example and decide that you're going to lose weight on your own, and maybe that might inspire him. Maybe decide, hey, you know what? I'm not bringing this crap home anymore. We're going to do this together. You're going to lose weight with me, or that's it for the marriage. Like, I'm walking out on you, and you could do it on your own. And him being unable to work, unable to feed himself, like he has no option but to go along with it. So she could be the example here and help get the family back in order. And you don't have to get weight loss surgery. I mean, I know it's a last ditch effort, but if you can't afford that copay to do it, even in today's world where you can raise money online or whatever, raise money for that copay, you could try again. But obviously they're on my 600-pound live, so they're going to go see drnow. But there are ways to do it. Like, to just give up because it didn't work out one time and then just completely, blow up and go back to eating, and then now she's disgusted with him, even though she eats the same way that he does. Like, this is a toxic relationship.
I'm driving to the grocery store.
This got to be good. They're going to the grocery store, and as much as very little as he can walk around, he might be in a cart. But yeah, she could put her foot down right now and say, "We are not bringing any garbage into this household."
Because that's what me and Dad needed to do.
I want to be off experiencing things.
That parking lot is empty, so it looks like they waited until late at night, so there wouldn't be any shame at them buying all the crap that they're about to buy.
Family, but I can't because of my size. And now I feel like grocery shopping is the only thing that me and Amber really have left together. And it's
Exactly, because you're so addicted to food and she's addicted to food. Like, there's no intimacy between them at all. The only connection that they have anymore is buying food. And she's just as much in this as he is. Except she's pretending to be morally superior because maybe she's not as big, maybe because she can go to work. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I mean, if your only connection as a married couple is being able to go grocery shopping together, that's really, really sad.
it's the only thing we do together aside from eating.
I mean, that's probably the most that he's ever gotten out of the vehicle. That's the most exercise he's going to have, is going to the store and making sure that he gets the food that he wants. Like, that's the only thing that gets him out of the house. And that's really difficult. I mean, that's something that, you're going to have to look at him and say, hey, if you can get up and go grocery shopping, you could be motivated enough to walk down the block. You could be motivated enough to do something else to get you out of that house, to get a little bit of exercise.
And if you took eating and food out of our relationship, we wouldn't have anything left now, really.
I mean, that's toxicity to a T. If you took food out of the relationship, there would be nothing left. That's a total enabling behavior. She is enabling him. He is enabling her. And so that's all they have left is food.
They have carts and go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ow, ow.
I mean, he could barely walk from the car, and he's already winded. He's already struggling. He hasn't even walked into the building yet. And what does he have hanging from his shorts? I don't know. But, yeah, if that's the only time that he can get out of the house and walk, it's because he's so excited about food. That says that he could do a lot more that he's not doing to make himself better.
For 3 years, Nathan's health has not allowed us to completely do those things that we enjoy. And our relationship is very strained because of the amount of care that I have to give him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand her point a little bit more. Even though she does enable him, even though that she has a problem herself and her size is big, you can start being resentful of somebody that you have to care for because it becomes a one-sided relationship. You're doing all the caregiving, you're working, you're paying the bills, you're buying the groceries, you're doing all of this, and you have to give him care because he can't do a lot of things for himself. He could probably get up and try to do some more things, but he's just using his size as an excuse not to do it. But if you're at that point, you're really at a breaking point because you're like, I can't give anything else. He's not giving me anything. And so if food is the only thing that they can do together, you're going to have to find a way to reignite the relationship. Find passion with each other in a different way that is outside of food. You're going to have to rekindle things.
And I miss being able to have, I guess, an intimate relationship, not like a sexual relationship, because Nathan and I have never. That's not.
Never? You've never had sex? I mean, I couldn't imagine having a relationship based around food. Like, sex isn't the most important thing in a relationship, but to me, it's a very important thing. Like, it's part of a connection. If you're married to somebody and you've never even had sex with them, that's very, very difficult. So I could see how their whole relationship is based around food, and their sex is the food. So that's what they're doing right now. They're having sex right now by going grocery shopping together and eating together. Like, that's the most intimacy that they've shared, and that's not a healthy relationship at all. Because, like you said, once the food is gone, what do they have left?
What it's about, but just like being able to spend quality time with each other where it doesn't involve care.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work that's going to have to be done here. A lot of work that's going to go into having to change this whole dynamic between the two of them. Anyways, I'm going to leave it right here. But yeah, this is very sad. Um, she has no right to judge him because she's just as big. She got just as much of a problem. Even though she's a little bit mobile and she's able to go to work and stuff like that, she is a few meals away from being bedridden herself. So if she's the one taking the care and providing for the household, she's going to have to put her foot down right now for herself, but also to save her marriage and to save her relationship and to save her husband's life. She's going to have to tell him no, and no matter what kind of a fit he throws, put her foot down and say it's not going to happen anymore. That's the only way you're going to save this. But of course, they go to Dr. Now, so I'm sure that helps in some way. But anyways, that's my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. The dishwasher's going, so I don't know if that's going to be in the headphones or not. I'm sorry if it is. But anyways, I love you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment down below. Leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't done so. I greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys later. God bless you.